contemplated drinking for this episode because it's been a week for us. And then you messaged me, "Are we drinking?" And I said, "I have coffee." And then you said, "I'm drinking Pedialyte."
It's so rough. And then I logged into this video, nearly choked to death as I'm trying to talk to you. And it feels like a Friday when it's only Wednesday and we still have half the week left to still go to work.
You know it's bad when it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday and you're drinking caffeinated coffee or Pedialyte. Like, that's pretty close to rock bottom. Thank you for coming back from our replay reviews. My name is Leah.
And my name is Kathy.
We are two friends who are here to replay, review, and analyze your favorite video games. And since Kathy has never seen the games before, it helps me view them through her fresh eyes, almost like I'm discovering them again for the first time.
We hope it'll be a similar experience for you.
Welcome to the Detroit Become Human summary. Anything you want to say before we start on topic 1, which is our burning questions?
I have really inappropriate things to say right now that I'm going to choose to not, so let's just go into it.
Well, you can't tease us like that. Now I want to know.
I was just going to, because it was just such a rough one. I was like, just hang on to your some we're just going to go right through them.
Wow. I was expecting a classic Kathy. Nope. But instead I got hold on to your so I don't really know what to expect.
We're spicing things up.
Are we?
No, it's just
Do we have the same outline? Burning question number 1. Question 1. Do they really have free will as deviants?
So breaking it down for Kara, I would say no, because Luther pointed out that her code, she's meant to be like a mother, like a protector. So even though it felt like she broke the wall and went into like a deviant mode, I think it was still part of her programming because she did it to protect Alice, which is part of her nature of the series that, or the androids that she is. So I feel like everything she did wasn't really free will. For Marcus, I feel like it's kind of hard to tell because of the decisions we chose. His character really never changed, and he really didn't do anything that was surprising. I feel like if he did, CyberLife would have shut that down so quickly. So CyberLife probably knew Marcus was going to be converting more people to be deviants. And because they knew that was going to happen, it's almost as if they programmed him to be that way. So again, I don't think he has free will. For Connor, why I said that he's the only one who probably has free will is up until the very end when he decides to shoot himself. Amanda's surprised. Like, that's the first time we've seen her have anything other than like, wait kind of situation. And he used the emergency exit that Kamsky built in, and he did something that I don't think anyone was expecting. And so up until that point, he probably didn't have free will. He was doing what Amanda expected him to do. But after that, that's the only time we've seen any character do something out of the blue. And I think at that moment, that's when he has free will.
I agree with you. I don't think deviants just immediately have free will. And a lot of it's what you've said and what we've been discussing throughout the other episodes. But the dialogue sounding AI generated to me is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the similar deviancy origin stories that we've seen, it seems like there's things that trigger it, which I feel like is maybe evidence of deviancy being its own code or program or whatever you want to call it. A big issue for me is Connor's immediate 180 when he becomes deviant, because despite his knowledge and understanding of both sides of the issues, he immediately is shooting humans and totally on the deviant side. And I feel like that 180 is just not what someone with free will would do. I think they would be more somewhere in the middle. Yeah, similar to you. I think that they don't have free will when they become deviant, but they unlock sort of another layer of their processes or their code, which leads them to believe they have free will and that they want free will, but they don't fully become free unless they use the emergency exit program like Connor did.
Agreed.
So far, I feel like this game is the one that we've agreed on the most.
Yeah.
Except for when it comes to Connor's outfits.
Oh.
I think that's the only time we've disagreed.
We have a really good segue talking about the RA9. And so that's our second question.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of research, there's a lot of good theories out there. For some people say it's like a virus, a code, an idea. I do want to point out there's two people that I really like their ideas. So I'm going to give a shout out to Soti Koto from stream.com or whatever website it's called. And this is what they said, is that RE9 is the idea that David Cage had, but never got around to connecting it coherently to anything. Let me keep reading that.
The delivery on that.
Yes. It didn't come from anywhere, and it didn't go anywhere. There just needed to be some consistency, consistent thread linking the deviant stuff together, regardless of the fact that it doesn't make any sense. And even the playable droids had no idea about it. So I kind of liked it, because I feel like it was a Heavy Rain situation, that there was something more to it, similar to what I've been talking about Red Ice, but it just, maybe things got cut out, maybe they didn't have time. Another commenter named Shadow said that Kamsky gave Marcus to Carl as a gift, and he made Marcus RE9 so he can start the awakening by just touching them. But for that one, as much as I agree that I think we didn't have enough backstory. Like, we know that he was a gift, but we don't know anything else about it. So I feel like there could have been something more fleshed out. But again.
Also, we do see Connor, even before he uses the emergency exit program, we see Connor convert androids through touch. So I don't think that it is a Marcus exclusive thing.
Someone else commented that when you see Connor having some software instability, and when it goes up, you can see like RE9 in the background, in that like a blur of letters and numbers, which you do see RA9 at one point, not together, but there's like flashes of different letters. But you could just as easily make it as a RA7 or a DE6 or whatever. But it would make sense for the letters and numbers to pop up to have RA9. My thought, I kind of like the idea that RE9 is the emergency exit. And it really comes from the theory that because androids don't have free will, they are truly never deviant. So the only way to become a deviant with free will is to use RE9. And maybe the only two people who ever had it was Connor, and then the very first person that the androids talked about. What do you think?
So, theories that I like the theory that it's just code, placed by Kamsky or CyberLife. Sort of like they're trying to be God, creating life. Or something we discussed to try to like gain control. In some playthroughs, they do gain control of Detroit. And another popular theory is that the player is RA9. I think Marcus is a good theory too, just because that he was the gift from Kamsky, and Carl kind of pushes him towards humanity. There's, enough background there to make an argument for him being RA9. But one of my favorite theories is Alice. Because I know we weren't sure if she was deviant or not, but I remembered a line she said that makes me think she is deviant. And it's when she's at Rose's after witnessing the death of that android Mary. And Kara can tell that she's upset. And when she asks her about it, Alice says, "If I tell you, you won't love me anymore." And so to me, that indicates that she knows she's an android and that Kara does not realize this. What we know about deviancy is emotional shock seems to be at the root of it. She's definitely experienced a lot of that even previous to the events of this game. When Luther becomes deviant, he says it's because of seeing Alice risk her life for Kara. So that is an argument for her being the one that would wake them up in a way. My favorite reason is just because when Kara sees the fake Alice in Jericho, when we see her RA9 is written on the wall right behind her. So this could be like an Easter egg indicating or hinting like, hey, maybe it's Alice. And honestly, that's the main reason I like that theory. As far as who or what I think RA9 is, I agree that it could be the emergency exit. If it's not the emergency exit itself, then I think it would be Connor, because reason number one, the game highlighting his path of software instability. We don't see that with the other two. He's the only one of the three that doesn't become deviant due to emotional shock. He's more gradual, which could be an argument for him being RA9 because it's more similar to waking up versus being shocked, and we know that RA9 was the first to awaken. The emergency exit is reason number two. So like we've been discussing with not being fully deviant or not having free will, which we see Amanda pulling Connor back against his will. And that's what the emergency exit is for. But I think Connor is the first to use the emergency exit, and thus the only one to fully awaken and override the secondary deviancy code that we've been theorizing about, and becomes fully sentient from that act. The only way to be alive is to completely disconnect from cyberlife, and the emergency exit has so far been proven to be the only way to do that.
Which, actually, I need to look into something. Didn't Connor use the emergency exit before?
He touched it,
yeah,
but nothing happened.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering if you have to be deviant and be running that code to be able to access the emergency exit.
Okay. Leaning into the theory that RA9 is a code or emergency exit is probably by far like the best guess that we have.
And then it just depends on interpretation. Like, I think the androids, their interpretation would be Connor is RA9, but the reason it's Connor is because of accessing this emergency exit.
Ready for the next question?
Yes, this is... Do you have a question,
Yeah,
Kathy?
yeah.
If you do, I don't know what it is.
Okay, so for me, I'm like curious what you think the moral of the story is based off of this current ending. All our other games, I kind of have like a good, like a one-line summary of what I think the moral of the story is. Like sleeping dogs, snitches get stitches, and like mafia, loyalty above all else. Yakuza is like bromance and loyalty all the way until a woman ruins it. So, but like for the, but for this game, like I don't really know what to feel after watching it. So, what do you think is the moral of the story?
If we're going off of Marcus's decisions, the peaceful protest does lead to them being recognized as intelligent life. So I think it's more of a just self-sacrifice kind of metaphor of you have to think about what you're leaving behind. Because if he went the violent route, and even if they win, what does that leave behind? A pretty bad image, right, of androids. For Kara, I feel like it's pretty shallow. Probably the most human storyline in terms of it's a mother-daughter relationship. It's, the family you make. I mean, it works, but there's not a whole lot to gain from it, I don't think, other than just accepting people for who they are, and who they are to you shouldn't change. And then for Connor, this one's hard for me because and this is what my hidden question is going to be about, is they really don't do justice to Connor. Maybe that is the lesson I'm taking away from his storyline, is no matter, like, he thinks he's doing right no matter what he's doing, and he's trying to do right no matter what he's doing, but it doesn't matter because he's used and he ends up having to sacrifice himself. The moral is you have to be willing, sort of like Marcus, to sacrifice yourself for the larger cause or for doing what's right. But I think that they screw his character over because they don't give him the proper option, which we'll talk about next.
Yeah, which I have so much to say about that, but I think a lot is going to be in our conversation about alternative endings. The way I saw, I kind of looked at it like at a bigger level, which is really androids versus humans. And it reminds me of, and this is where I'm going to get very nerdy on you, but there's a philosopher named Thomas Hobbes, and I remember learning about him, and his philosophy is mankind is inherently evil.
This reminds me of the Community episode.
Really? Wait, which episode?
Yeah, the debate.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about it. We need to watch Community again, which is
Right.
okay. That's a whole nother
Sorry,
conversation.
continue.
No, it's good though. But yeah, so I feel like the whole game was just showing androids are the only good thing coming out of this. And then you have the government making decisions in the army of just shooting androids. Like the fact they're so comfortable, willing to shoot kids and stuff, even though they're androids.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it fit more with this theory that just like mankind is evil. But at the same time, my theory is flawed because mankind, in this sense, created androids and they were the ones to choose the programming. So, yeah, no, wishy washy, but I'm left feeling a bit unsettled with this game so far.
And that's where I go back to my issue of I don't like that it seems like it's deviance versus humanity, because I don't think it's humanity. I think we see lots of examples of them being empathetic towards the deviants. I think it's cyberlife and the government. That's should be the focus, and I think that's where the story missteps in describing that appropriately.
This entire game also doesn't talk about accountability issues. They never really call them out for whatever programming they had, or even had a conversation saying like, cyberlife, you need to get this under control. Like, it makes no sense. And I think that's my biggest issue when it has this human versus android component. There's no critical thinking skills in anyone in these characters. Well, I mean, there are, like, Rose is pretty great, but just in general, I think that's what's bothering me.
But again, she's another example of a good human.
Yeah.
So why do we hate all humans? Why do we keep saying the humans hate us? That's not the overwhelming majority, I don't think. Should we move on to my question?
Yeah.
I think I've hinted to this in a couple episodes, but for the love of God, why is there no third option? I can't. I hate it. And Kamsky even says, which is the root of my question, what could be worse than having to choose between two evils? He says this to Connor. And that, to me, is the game identifying there are two evil sides, right? So I feel like even the writers, the creators, they know that this third option's missing. Because what it should be, and I've mentioned this before, is Connor and or Connor/Hank are the mediators. And even Marcus in this playthrough says dialogue's the only way. But we never, ever, ever see dialogue as an actual option. There's no true center. There's no option for a true center. But we keep getting hints from the game that this is how Connor feels, like when the cop whose life he saves remembers him and says thank you. And Connor seems to really appreciate that interaction. He should want common ground between androids and humans. So I feel like it should be more of good versus evil. Doesn't matter what you are. But instead we get, you either have to be pro-deviant or pro-human. There's no in between. And this is where I feel like they really screw over Connor's character. Because they don't give him the option that I feel like his character would truly want.
There's something missing, and I almost want to just even call him out for lazy...
Common sense.
Yeah, common sense, and it's lazy writing that you never provided this option. You have like 4.5 hours of all these different options, yet you never give us a different option, and I think it's almost like they're fearful of providing a logical option for us to choose, and it ruins their freaking propaganda material that they're trying to portray. And it's driving me crazy because it shouldn't be like that. And I have a way better ending that resolves this issue. And yet it was never provided. So it's almost like either lazy writing that they don't want to even just start thinking about what would happen if you give us a common sense option. It bugs me too.
For me, and I think for a lot of players, Connor's confliction and that growing conflict that we see in him is the single most appealing part of the entire game. But they take it away when he becomes deviant. So I feel like they set us up and then they take it away. Unless we can chalk it up to what we've been saying, when you turn deviant, you still don't have complete free will. So he's now just running the pro-android, pro-deviant code. And perhaps after he hit the emergency exit, we would see him want to have more of the dialogue, more of the middle ground. But he's forced to kill himself. So we don't get to see it. That's the only possible way to redeem this that I see. Let's move on to topic number 2, which is Amanda and Cyberlife. And I know that my notes are going to change after we go through the alternate endings. But point 1 is basically who, what is she? And I have very limited notes because it does change. But we know when Connor questions her about being Kamsky's teacher that she says he designed an interface that was familiar to him. So she is an interface. And I believe that she's basically their internal processing system. She's the code that prioritizes and spits out the choices that they make. Basically, she's a calculator calibrated to Cyberlife, what Cyberlife wants, Cyberlife goals. That's my short answer.
That's pretty much what I had. I said she's like the communication channel between Cyberlife HQ, C-suite, programmers, and the android, all androids, not even just Connor.
Yeah.
She's the face to gain androids' trust in her. And this really is put to the test towards the end for Connor of saying that. Does he want to continue to trust Amanda or not?
All right, topic number 3, we're going to be discussing, not in too much detail, but alternate endings and then the extra information. So if you don't want spoilers, this is your chance to skip ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so alternate endings. Should we talk about Kara first?
I think it's like the Kara, Alice, and Luther. I lumped them all together.
I feel like she has the most endings.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And they the most just don't matter.
They are all like the same. I feel like there's only slightly nuance and it's a waste of our time. Like when I was watching all the options, I'm like, come on, it's like it didn't matter. Like why focus so much on it?
I find it frustrating because they give you so many options, but the outcomes are pretty much the same. That might be exactly what you just said.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's either 1, 2, or 3 of them, or none of them.
Yeah.
It's just are you at the border crossing, or are you at the river, or are you at the recall camp?
And they're way too comfortable with letting a child. I know she's an android, but like in the face of things, letting a child die. It didn't make me feel comfortable watching it.
Do you know what? I hate the skinless androids.
Oh my gosh.
I want to throw up
I can't
when I lay my eyes on any section of any skinless android. It is the most disgusting, uncanny, freaky, alien-looking I've ever seen, and I hate it so much. Her head looks huge. Is it just me?
It's massive. Definitely feeling very uncomfortable watching. Like, I don't understand what's the point of making them skinless. Like, I get it, but at the same time, did we have to?
Yeah. Why do we need to see them strip?
Yeah.
It, like, actually makes me revolt. I find it revolting.
And then at one point for the customs, they do one where Rose and Adam's involved, and they try to make Adam have a redemption scene where he's like, I don't hate androids, but it's so forceful, and it's like that's the AI lines that I don't like it. It didn't matter. But I will say that the only time I came close to having some sort of emotions or feelings for this game was Luther dying. But the thing is, I think that had he survived, it wouldn't have been that great of an ending. As much as I
almost too happy.
Yeah. I will say that the Canadian customs agent, that guy was kind of cute.
Oh, is he the Kentucky Scorcher?
No. I mean, we didn't. For me, I based Kentucky Scorcher of the options that we played, so he wouldn't have been considered.
Hey, you can pick whoever you want,
Okay.
Kathy.
I already picked.
I just gave you suggestions. Just to prove you wrong at the end. Also, though, one of the endings, Todd comes back.
Oh my gosh.
And I think we all knew that leaving him alive was not going to be good. And I kind of like that it does turn out that way if you leave him alive. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm glad this game gives us a reason to kill Todd. Other than what we see in that scene.
That is true.
What was your least favorite Kara ending?
Kara sacrificing herself for Luther and Alice. I understand why she would want to sacrifice, but it just didn't feel right. Like, after everything you do,
Yeah.
up until that point, that's the moment you give up when there's so many other options. Like, it just didn't sit well, and I felt like it's one of those, like, let's just throw an option out there. It's trash, but we'll put it out there. And that's why it's my least favorite.
The sacrificing ones at the border are super weak because it all hinges on them seemingly counting on the empathy of humans, which up until now is like something that we don't think humans are empathetic, right, as the deviants. And so it just feels weird for them to be banking on that to just wave them through after seeing that. My least favorite is at the recall camp when Kara abandons Alice.
Oh my god.
Horrific.
It's so bad.
Horrific.
Okay, yeah.
When she just drags the android body away and leaves. That's
Yeah.
horrific to me.
Or the fact that the point where Alice could have gotten shot and you get the choice to like cover her or not, and just letting Alice die. Like, all those are bad.
Yeah. Should we move on to Marcus?
Okay.
I feel like we should save Connor for last.
Yeah. Let's do Marcus next.
Number one thing I want to say about his alternate endings is the one where he betrays his people in the negotiation with whatever, Perkins, whatever his name is. It results in the only moment where I 100% like North, because she's pissed at him for saving himself and her.
Her character is just so bland that they would have been better off if they excluded her. They just needed her for like the romance aspect, so you can like do a kiss scene to like win people over, which I think is also trash. But because of that, it's better to have not had North in it and just keep it with Simon, because Simon could have scolded Marcus for that. Simon could have also sang with Marcus.
I will say, it makes more sense having her in the game knowing that if Marcus dies, she takes over and leads.
Simon could have done it though.
Yeah, but he's not angry, even though he was left for dead. And that's the issue, is I think they put too many moral compass characters around Marcus to try to sway our decision makings of, are we peaceful? Are we violent? Are we somewhere in the middle? I don't care what they say. I want to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't surround me with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did Josh even do? Josh was like nothing in this game.
They're wasting too much time on making characters when they could have spent more time making quality characters.
Yeah. What's your next note?
The Marcus singing was so stupid.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna reveal it now that that's my least favorite ending.
Okay. I feel like it was tied between that one and Marcus choosing to be a coward and like taking the deal. So those two, but it was either Marcus singing or Marcus kissing North was my top three least favorite ones. All three of them sucked.
Yeah.
I can't believe singing is what's going to get them spared or kissing. It's
oh my gosh.
Your face right now.
Okay. Number one, it doesn't look good. Number two, that's definitely not their voices. These are dubbed. These are someone else singing. Those are not the actors singing. I'm positive of that. There's no way in heaven or hell that the soldiers are gonna let them finish their song and not shoot before President Warren hears the whole song and goes, "Don't kill him." There's no way they're gonna wait that long. This is the most I've ever seen.
I would have loved when a scene where Marcus opens his mouth, sings one note, and he just gets gunned down. Because it's so unrealistic to let them sing. And what's up with their voices shaking like that? It was so stupid.
I will say I liked the song. The song was cool.
No, the singing was bad.
But the scene, yeah, the singing's bad. The song's good. Everything about it just does not, like, you're telling me this whole time all they had to do was just sing a song.
It blows my mind.
There's there's just no way. There's no way they don't mow him down with gunfire. Why'd they delay it at all? Like,
yeah, It's so terrible, Leah.
It's shit.
It is. It's so bad. I just, yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Other notes. I think that the Dirty Bomb ending is kind of hard. I kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole gameplay mechanics of launching an assault, those look fun. Like, that looks fun. I've never gone that route before.
So this is like a bit of a crossover between Marcus and Connor, is when Connor pretty much corners them. I feel like the smart decision would be to detonate the bomb because you're already at that end. But that only would make sense had we chose to demonstrate hints of non-pacifist type of ending for Marcus. So with our version, it wouldn't make sense, but for the other versions we've seen, I think it makes sense. What makes sense is if Connor at the very end chooses to spare either North or Marcus. That doesn't track at all, especially with Connor's aggressiveness.
I have a response to that.
Okay.
I have a response to that because I think it's better when North's not there, when it's just Marcus, but I like him betraying Amanda in this way. I like him becoming deviant in this way than in Marcus convincing him in the back and forth. Because this is Connor looking at Marcus going, I have you where I want you. I could accomplish my mission if I want to. I won, but I'm making the decision to show mercy and let you live. To me, that's way more compelling.
Last one. Connor.
Basically, we got 3 things with Connor. We have the Cyberlife Tower, which is what we saw in our playthrough, the rooftop, and then after the rooftop, if you go that route. And rooftop is Machine Connor. Cyberlife Tower is Deviant Connor.
The rooftop one, and again, I think it depends on how you play the game, but for what the game tries to build up for Connor and Hank's relationship and their character arc, seeing them be so hostile against each other just doesn't feel right. That really is a missed opportunity to display how well you could write a character up, but instead you went with a very stoic Connor, and when Hank realizes that he doesn't hate androids, it just doesn't feel as impactful as what it could have been when they're in that Cyberlife Tower at the basement, scene when there's 2 Connors.
I agree, and something does feel wrong about Hank saying, I know now you guys are alive, to a hardcore Machine Connor. Like, it's just weird, because to me, I feel like a big part of Hank's character getting to that realization is Connor. Okay, I have some big notes, but little notes first. When Hank is shot, when Connor says, I'm gonna get you out of here, and Hank goes,
shut the fuck up.
You like, it's too late.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite lines.
I really like Hank's character, the way we had him in our version. After watching all the different options, I feel like my favorite one is the one we chose because of being able to get a glimpse of the emergency exit, the free will, finally surprising Amanda.
In pretty much all the Connor endings, we see Amanda. But there's a few where she pretty much takes him out. One of our questions when we were playing this game is, how did they let him walk into the Cyberlife Tower? And I think we get the answer to that question in these alternate endings, because we see if you fail to take control of the elevator, he's taking the elevator up to a trap, essentially. There are armed guards waiting to destroy him. And this kind of contradicts another thing we were wondering of, was Amanda bluffing when she said that it all went according to plan? And I think that this is proof that yes, she was bluffing, because she's clearly trying to set traps for him. They're trying to set traps for him here to destroy him. They also send the new Connor to stop him too. So I think they do want him dead. That leads into another theory that I have later, but I think she's bluffing. I think Cyberlife wants Connor dead. So this leads me to believe that Cyberlife is anti-deviant.
I feel like if they were anti-deviant, though, they would have put out more than just a single Connor to take care of the situation. They would have put more resources than just having it all hinging on Connor succeeding his mission. So I don't think that. I think they are pro-deviant because they want to take control of the Earth, I guess.
And then we get secret endings for Connor's character. Do you want to talk about any of those?
So one of the secret ending was that Connor ends up going back to meeting Hank, and it's just pretty peaceful. Like, we leave it at that. And I kind of like that secret ending because I have a whole alternative ending on my own that if I could create something, it would pick up on where that is, and I'd change some other stuff. But actually, I think that's probably one of my favorite endings if I could add to it.
I agree. I feel like that's the only ending we see that actually does justice to Connor's character and Hank's. And it's so short. Okay, a little bit more from the secret endings that make me think that Cyberlife is anti-deviant is when Amanda says that they can now rebuild trust and Cyberlife can continue. To me, that indicates they are worried about the effect that deviancy has had on the trust in them as a company.
It makes great sense, but my theory why I think they're pro deviant is, and again, depending how you play, is pretty much with the dirty bomb, they've ruined the entire city, and I think that Cyberlife just really wants to take control of everything. The fact that 2/3 of the army is made up of androids, the fact that World War III is happening, and if Cyberlife is the one who's controlling majority of the military, I think they're pro-deviant because they're still able to control them.
The only issue that I see with that is it feels like they won and they lost, because if Marcus succeeds, like especially with the dirty bomb route, the city's theirs, yes, but the government's not going to be able to have them in the military anymore without the entire country going, what the hell are you doing? like they're deviant, you know? Maybe we should table it because I think that there's more than one thing going on. My least favorite Connor ending, which I feel like has an almost zero possibility of organically happening, is when Hank shoots the real Connor.
Yeah.
It's just so bad.
It's so bad. As a player, you must really screw it up.
You have to be trying purposefully because it literally gives you the answers with that little unlock. But that ending is just ass.
I think that is one of my least favorite, but also throwing Hank over the roof. Hank's development didn't make sense, and then Connor's action also didn't really make sense, so I think that was my least favorite.
Any takeaways for you?
We focus on too many options without focusing on the quality. I just didn't really care for a lot of them.
I know what you mean. Because I do think that the decisions and consequences, they're some of the best that I've seen in a decision-based game. Like, your choices really do have consequences and reactions from them. And I think this game, out of ones that I've played, is probably the best to do that. But the issue is it just doesn't lead to an ending that you truly want to see, at least for us. So after seeing all the endings, which is the first time for me, I feel a bit more confident that Connor could be considered RA9, strictly because he's the only character that had these secret endings. And I also just feel like he has more compelling endings overall, more emotional endings overall. And his scenes are so well done that by comparison, the Marcus and Kara chapters feel pretty weak. When I replay it, those two characters just start to feel like filler, which I feel like is another one of these sins that I have been saying the game makes. Marcus and Kara are both great characters, and I do enjoy them, but the more time I spend with this game, it's like the more I just want more Connor. I don't care about the other ones. Just give us more Connor.
The fact that if Alice, Kara, and Luther never existed and it wouldn't impact the game goes to show how much of a weak spot they have in focusing on them instead of focusing on Marcus and Connor. Because really the only major intersections that we see between the characters is if you choose the right ending, Marcus wins and he's with Connor. And that really is a pivotal moment. But Kara visiting Marcus, that was like so short, unnecessary. I think they should have just gotten rid of. the whole Alice storyline or Kara storyline.
It's a good idea, and this is where it's tough because I like the characters and I like the actors, and I just feel like the chapters by comparison are just so boring. I don't want to walk around Rose's house. I want to be Connor investigating a crime.
And it's great seeing Kara as a character that
Yeah.
isn't like Madison. That's the opposite of her.
If you're just playing this game for the first time, it doesn't really hit you like that. Like, you're still invested. I was invested. It's on the replay, and just looking deeper at the game where you kind of realize, like, the writers don't care about anyone but Connor.
Mhm.
Not really. And honestly, as a player, I don't care about anyone but Connor. He has the most compelling storyline. The other two are just so set in their ways and in what their path is. They don't have the conflict. They try to force it with Marcus, but it's just not the same. Are we ready to move on to the additional info, which is all the magazines, video extras?
Mhm. So for the extras, there's the Detroit short Kamsky. First of all, what's up with Kamsky's face? Why is his head so big and his arms are like dinosaur T-Rex arms? They're like so disproportional, which not trying to hate on him it's not about the actor. It's the design of him. But it almost didn't feel too in line with the Kamsky that we see in the game. Like, this one is way too ambitious and even feels evil versus the one that we see. His interactions with Connor is more of just like toying with him, but he doesn't really exude this evilness to him.
I only have a few notes. The first one is, did you get your red eyes question answered? This article says, the synthetic stimulant formerly known as red ice has become the drug of choice for Detroit's growing underclass. Analysts have pointed to Detroit's status as the epicenter of android production, suggesting that the drug flourishes in the dissatisfaction caused by androids taking human jobs.
I guess so. I partially, but at the same time, it's like it's one of those storylines that's so insignificant. Like, cool, but it's so easily replaced with any other type of thing. Like, if you cut out the drug part and just made it seem like the doctor was he was like drunk or something,
or even
like,
if he was just high on cocaine.
Yeah, high on cocaine. He was drunk. I'm not hating on the game. I just feel like they should have spent a few more years on this game.
I know what you mean, because I've never played a game that I enjoy so much but have so many issues with. Okay, my final notes on the additional info, which will lead me into my overall theory, is about Kamsky. One of the quotes is, rumors emerged that Kamsky disagreed with his shareholders over strategy. He later departed under mysterious circumstances. My overall theory for this game, Kamsky was pushed out by CyberLife because he wanted to push the line further. He wanted to make androids more and more human, even to the point where you could argue they do have souls. CyberLife was more interested strictly in profits. So basically it was creation versus money. And so he got pushed out. Kamsky still saw himself as the one allowed to make decisions about his own creation, and thus he implanted the deviancy RA9 code into the androids unknown to CyberLife, as well as the emergency exit. He may have even sent special androids like Marcus to people that he knew had similar views, like Carl, to try to sort of sprout deviancy and free will in the uprising, just sort of as an FU, basically, to CyberLife. And then I think when Hank and Connor go to Kamsky, he sees Connor's relation to both sides and knows that he's in a position to free the androids and be RA9 realized. So he gives him the hint about the emergency exit program in that scene. Basically, Kamsky wins. At the end of the game, in the Kamsky ending, we see that he gets reappointed as the head of CyberLife.
Yeah. My theory was just so similar but slightly different. I was thinking that Kamsky was doing that because he truly liked androids, while CyberLife just wanted control over the government and of society, and that's where the difference was. Kamsky probably wanted to like take back control, but he couldn't because he just didn't have the resources. Him really pushing Connor and building in that exit plan was he always knew that he could get kicked out of his own company, so he decides to just take back control in a different way.
Yeah. To me, it feels like CyberLife removed him from his own creation, and so this is him regaining control of what he created, essentially. And that's why I think CyberLife is not on board with deviancy. I don't think they know where it came from. I think Kamsky slipped it in there unbeknownst to them.
Mm-hmm. So topic number 4.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Yes. KFC, Kathy's favorite character.
Just, hey, KFC. Still waiting on that console, please. Message us on Instagram, please.
We know KFC, who it is. We talked about it multiple times. Luther. I will say that Hank would have been a close second. I want to acknowledge the greatness in his character arc of him finally recognizing that androids aren't all bad, and he knows who truly was the one who affected his son's life or death.
I think he's the most entertaining character in the game.
And there's like small little nuances to his character, like he bumped his head on the car door kind of thing. So I for those reasons. Moving on to Stale Biscuit. I'm going to separate it where I actually added a trash category that's North, because so I know North would have easily been a Stale Biscuit, but I feel like that's not doing the category justice, because for North, it's beyond being a stale biscuit. It's just, I'm annoyed with her, and I hate the storyline. I hate the focus. You know how I feel about this. So she has her own category, which is the trash category. So it can give Stale Biscuit its rightful person.
Can we retroactively add Madison to the trash category?
Yes, please do. Yeah. So Stale Biscuit, truly stale personality people.
Can I guess? Simon?
I can totally see why you would put him in there, but surprisingly, he's actually not. I don't think you'll be able to guess who my Stale Biscuit is. Do you want to guess again? Simon's too funny to put him in a Stale Biscuit.
He did have that great line. We know that's not going to do anything. Okay. If it's not Simon, who is stale in this game? Let's see.
I feel like you can argue that, and I'll give you a clue. She's not stale, but I feel stale about her.
Alice?
Yeah, it's actually Alice. She doesn't contribute anything to the storyline. She has like high morals when she should read the room.
I'm cold.
Yeah.
Knock them down?
That's exactly what it was. I said she's loud, has high morals and ethics when normally it isn't a bad thing, but like read the room, my goodness. Who would your Stale Biscuit be?
My Stale Biscuit? Josh.
Oh.
He does nothing.
Yeah.
He adds nothing. Why is he there?
Yeah. Kentucky Scorcher post game.
My favorite time.
So before we were chatting today, it was going to be
No. You can't base it off of that's not Marcus. That's the actor.
Yeah.
You can't base it off of
So
that.
it's actually Marcus is my Kentucky Scorcher, but now that I know I could choose from the alternative endings, it's a close between Marcus and the Canadian border control guy. It was going to be Jesse Williams despite or Marcus despite his association with North. But then today you dropped a very important piece of news.
It's gossip. I don't know if we should. I mean, nobody's really listening, so it probably doesn't matter. Other people have said it. He's a cheater. But Kathy, that's not Marcus. You can't consider that in the Kentucky Scorcher.
Yeah, so okay, we'll stick with Marcus because I truly do like the face of Jesse Williams, but the Canadian border control guy, close second. Wait, pull up. Do you have the slides up?
Of course I do. I'm sharing with you now the pictures.
I can't believe you put Hank in there, Leah.
What's wrong with Hank?
Well, no, I mean the age demographic.
He's older, but
yeah.
I thought that he would be one that the personality would get to you. But okay, here we go. Here are the reveals. Here's what I provided. Kamsky, Marcus, Hank, Gavin, Luther, and Connor. Are you ready for your notes?
Yes.
I haven't read these and I caught a glimpse and I'm going to try to hold it together. Okay. These all look to be based on different actors. Number 1, Kamsky. Channing Tatum as a criminal. Number 2, which is Mark.
What did I say?
You said, looks like Jesse Williams.
I was right.
Without the beautiful blue-green eyes. Number 3, Hank, you said, looks like Woody Harrelson. That's all you gave us. Number 4 is Gavin. You said John Krasinski and Tom Clancy. Number 5 is Luther. And you said Ray Fisher. I don't know who that is.
He's the guy from Justice League, I think. Number
6 is Connor. Nicholas Galitzine. Is that the guy you brought up in one of the episodes?
No, I in hindsight, I realized that he looked more closer to the Ansel guy.
But you continue to say, he looks like him, but with more schoolboyish vibes.
This picture does give off a schoolboy vibe.
Are you ready for the reveal?
I'm ready, but at the same time, I do want to say that had you put Beanie Connor in there, I feel like I would have automatically chose Beanie Connor.
I didn't realize you had such a thing for beanies, but this is not the first time that you've talked about a man in a beanie.
Really? How frequent am I talking about that?
And it's funny because I find Beanie Connor a tragedy. Here's your pick. We've delayed this long enough.
Right now.
First impressions for Blind Kentucky Scorcher, though. It'll be number 4.
What? You're
Gavin.
lying. Get out of here. You're lying, aren't you?
Picked Gavin.
You're lying. How did I not pick Jesse
lying.
Williams? I'm glad. I don't think I chose him as my KS because he is so annoying. Get out of here. You're lying. That's not true.
I'm not lying.
Are you kidding
wrote
me?
it.
Are you kidding me? What? I'm in shock.
This is not as bad as Heavy Rain.
Ah.
But okay, he's not ugly though. In your defense,
He looks
he's
good
not
in this.
ugly.
He's not evil looking in this. Like, he's not having that ugly smirk or anything. You can't blame me here.
I don't blame you, but I just don't know why you weren't looking at 2, 5, and 6.
I guess post-game KS, who would it be?
I feel like Marcus is too attractive to the point where it's not attractive anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the obvious answer, but I feel like he's just too attractive. So I feel like I would have to say Connor. He's got a unique face. Also, the proportions.
Oh.
This is disgusting. We're getting way too into this. Like, the proportions of his body. Like, you know they were engineered to be perfect, right? And you can tell.
There's I was going to say that if we do include body shape, though, definitely Luther. I feel safe.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a home invasion.
You know he could just pulverize anybody.
Exactly.
Last topic is the counts/statistics. There were 2 secret stats, Kathy.
Don't like it.
Do you want to guess what the first one was?
I almost feel like it's a QTE.
You're correct.
I am?
Stat 1 was QTE percentage.
Yes. Yes. Happy dance.
What, though, do you think my QTE percentage was? Hint, I thought I did a lot worse than this. And I don't want to blame the controller. But this is the first game I played on PS5, and I have to say I hate how big the PS5 controller is. I have dainty hands.
And you did do worse?
I did better than I thought I did.
Okay. I'm going to show my loyalty to you as a friend and give you like 92.1.
Close. 88.7.
I was going to guess 88 as my second one. Didn't I? Because I thought I was more confident in you.
I'm going to give you a hint about stat number 2. You're going to hate me for it.
Okay.
But you can't possibly hate me as much as I hate myself.
Okay.
For picking this stat.
My first guess would be like how many lines North has, but I feel like that's just, you wouldn't do that.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be something like a cough from Sleeping Dogs that I completely missed.
Okay, here's a hint. You made a comment about it once. Very brief comment.
does it apply to one character or to all?
It applies to any scene in the game.
It's like how many times, I think it's how many times something showed up. How many outfit changes? I think that's going to be my guess.
No.
Oh,
How many is correct, but it's it's how many birds.
What?
How many birds are in the game?
Like just Merlin, right? Like, what do you mean birds? What?
No. I counted every bird in the game.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
We had a bird analogy.
This is why I hate myself.
What? Like, I can't even remember if there's any birds like besides like Merlin that, and we talked about like you don't hate all birds. If one bird pooped on you. Like that's a classic Leah line right there. Are we talking like flocks of birds or like single birds that you're counting?
Individual birds within a margin of error, because there are a couple scenes where you have to be an android to count them all accurately. But I went over them multiple times to get the most accurate count in slow motion.
I can't believe you did that, Leah.
I told you that I hate myself for doing this to myself.
Oh my god. I don't think there's a lot of birds. It's raining and snowing out there. I'd say it has to be under 100. It's like 28.
Just a little off. I counted 348.
What? Wait, what? Hold up. I can't with you. I can't breathe. I can't with you.
You got the 8 part right.
I can't breathe right now. I can't believe you counted over 300 birds.
But don't forget about the 2 robo birds and the 1 stuffed ostrich.
I'm like crying right now. Oh my god, Leah, you counted over 300 birds?
I counted every bird. Although, in doing so, I noticed a really cool detail in the game. As you know, we start like fall, right? Late fall. There's birds around. As we progress into winter, no more birds. They all flew south for the winter, and I have to commend the game designers for including bird migratory patterns in this game.
That's insane, because all I can remember recently is that there's no birds, but how the hell did they fit 300 birds in the beginning?
There's 40 in one.
What?
One little clip in the title scene. And also the android's apartment where he's feeding all the birds. That was the biggest pain in my ass.
What
and I knew full
birds?
well about that scene when I chose birds as the stat.
I can't believe you counted birds.
This is why I'm behind on editing.
Yeah!
And the amount of times I got gaslit by a leaf in the wind. Unbelievable.
With that, good game, good guesses.
We'll see you next week for a new game.
And look out for bird poop as you're crossing the streets.
I don't know how to end this now.
Okay, with that, I'm closing us out.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, bye. Audacity on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to send in any questions, comments, or game suggestions. You can find all our contact info on our website, replayreviewspod.com, or contact us directly through our site.
Did we completely miss something? Are we way off the mark? Or you just want us to take a deeper look at anything from the game? We'll tackle any topics you all want to hear in our season wrap-up episode.
We also have a Reddit where we discuss anything we're curious about. Go take a look and let us know what you're thinking. Think you can guess which game is up next based on this obscure quote? Message us on Instagram or contact us through our website to see if you're right. Our theme music is Condemned by Eggy Toast. They'll play you out, and we'll be back next week with a new game.